So we are going to make a bird's eye view landscape. And if you're an older student or you want to challenge yourself, you could do one that's three-dimensional. So you're going to start by just drawing a map or a view of an area from above. So here's a river, bridge, road crossing over it, maybe some buildings, another road. And then you're going to add three-dimensional elements, like a car. If you go to the handout on the Google Doc page, you'll see how to make a car like this. It's actually pretty simple, just kind of cutting a shape from a folded piece of paper, but the directions are on there step by step how to do it. And you can color that in. And then I made a tree just by rolling a piece of paper. Remember to make those tabs like we learned about in the Collage Center. And then you can tape that down. So you can make a tree, just like Chris Burden. If you guys watch that fun video, do it. He uses all these Matchbox cars to create this busy city street scene of Los Angeles. I actually saw the installation in the museum. It was at the LA County Museum of Art a few years back, and it was amazing. If you would like, you can just do a painting of a bird's eye view, again, from above. And then color it in with your paint chips. All right, so this is what we're going to do. I will show you. You're going to start by thinking like a bird from above. Figure out what it is you want to draw. I'm going to use a black crayon. And because there are so many rivers and streams around us, that's what I'm going to start with. So I'm just going to draw one side of my river with my crayon. And remember, rivers, they're curvy. They're not straight lines. So that would be one side of the shore or the bank. And then maybe over here. And maybe my river gets a little wider and then a little bit more narrow. Remember, rivers twist and turn, so any way you draw that is going to be good. Now I'm going to add things into my river, like maybe there's a big boulder right here, and maybe another one next to it that's a little smaller. Maybe there's a couple more rocks over here. Rocks are just going to look that funny shape, because remember, we're looking down on top of it like we were a bird. Now, what if there was a tree over here? What would that tree look like from above? Well, it might just kind of look like a zigzaggy kind of shape like that. You might see maybe a little bit more of it down here. That's a good tree or bush. So I'm going to fill in the river bank with shapes like that. Maybe put a couple more inside. And maybe over here there's a walking path. Now my walking path might be a little bit more straight than my river. And I'll make that a little bit more narrow. So it's like a hiking trail right along the river. I'm going to put another tree over here or bush. What if there was a bench on the trail? Let's say there's a bench right here. What would that bench look like from above? Remember, it won't be three-dimensional. It might just kind of be a rectangle shape like this. And then maybe the back part of the bench might be real thin looking. Something like this. I don't think you'd even see the feet of the bench. But maybe there's a line here, because maybe it's made of wood. That might be what a bench looks like. What if there was a person paddleboarding in the river? What would they look like from above? Well, they wouldn't really look like a person. Maybe there's a paddleboard right here, and the person might look something like this, a round head, maybe some shape for shoulders and legs, something like that. And then maybe their paddle might even just look like a thin little line like this, and their arm holding it. There we go. All right, finish filling in your landscape with, you can use black crayon. I like to use a black crayon when I'm using watercolor paint because you guys know the black crayon acts like a wall, the wax. Or you could use a black marker. Just make sure if you use a black marker, it's water resistant, because if you start putting paint on top of a water-based black marker, it will bleed. And I'm going to put some lines in here for my river, and then maybe finish by making a few more bush-like shapes, which is fun because they just kind of look like zigzaggy lines. So it doesn't matter if you're like, I don't know how to draw a bush. You're just making a fun, wiggly line. Because remember, we're a bird flying above, looking down on everything. And now I'm ready to paint in. I don't want to make really tiny shapes because it would be hard to paint those in. Now, remember, when we use our paint chips, we need a lot of water. Get your paintbrush wet and rub it on that paint chip to activate and release the color. I'm just going to let my color kind of pool up right there. And there's some beautiful yellow. I'm going to use my yellow before I mix it because I don't want to contaminate. So I'm going to paint everything I want yellow. And then to make my green, add more water to my paintbrush, rub on that blue paint chip. There's some beautiful green. And sometimes water looks a little green, so I might put a little green in my water. If you want the color darker, add more pigment off of that paint chip. Rub more. Water, water, water. Dip. Don't rinse the paintbrush. Just dip the paintbrush in the water. He doesn't need to be rinsed off. He just needs to go for a dip. All right. Have fun painting your watercolor bird's eye view landscape. And like I said, if you're an older student or you just want to challenge yourself, check out the directions on how to make a three-dimensional car. Here's how you do it. It's pretty easy. Take a piece of paper, fold it in half. You're going to draw the shape of the car with two wheels. And then you have to draw this little shape up here that's like the roof to go on the top. You want to make sure that's about the same length as the top of the car here. Then cut it out, fold it together, and put some tape on there and decorate it, and you have a car. All right, have fun making some bird's eye view landscapes today, artists.